In this episode, we are going to talk about practice workflow optimization. And many of you have heard me talk about the importance of how or what difference an efficient workflow makes to your practice. Now, and one of the things that everybody seems to be talking about practice workflow and how to optimize it. It is also being talked in the context of EHR and EMR systems, yet majority of small practices struggle with the concept of workflow precisely for that reason, that uh, it neither works nor flows as they expect it to work. Now, we may think that it does, but it meanders, it goes around, particularly for inefficient workflows, they move around. We know that a straight line should take about a mile to go from point A to point B. But the inefficient meandering workflows may take 2 miles to get there. They do eventually get there and they flow because at the end of the day, you have to get things done. So, but that's not efficient, is it? So, what we need to do is we need to take a look at how some workflows are designed, while others have evolved over time. Most often, when workflow processes are looked at in isolation individually, they appear to be quite logical and sometimes even efficient in acting to accomplish the end goal. Uh, it is in the interaction among these individual processes, like the islands of automation and so on, that complexities come up. Some of these interactions hide conflicts in the priorities of different roles in an organization. For example, what the staff is accountable to versus the physicians and their schedules, and then the practices also adapt workflows to suit evolving environments because things are constantly changing and moving. Over time, reflecting on workflows may show that some processes are no longer necessary and can be updated and even optimized. So why should we need to redesign? Perhaps the most important reason is that uh, is a concern for today's clinicians is the introduction of healthcare information technology. And that is important, yes, but there are some other factors also, such as new treatment methodologies, cost and efficiency pressures to improve patient flow. There is also initiatives to ensure patient safety and implementation of changes to make sure that the care team is more patient focused. But as I said, the most important thing is that the uh, healthcare IT systems assume a workflow structure in a way that their screens and steps are organized. And practices that are thoughtful about workflow design are more likely to be successful in adapting EMR software and being successful. So let's look at um, an example or what poor workflow does to you. Practices rely usually on good information. Valuable information can be lost when poor workflows impede communication and coordination or increase interruptions in the process. Now, a poorly functioning workflow includes unnecessary delays and pauses and rework of the same tasks. It introduces delays in the process. There are also uh, gaps when certain steps are omitted from your checklist of the workflow. Um, and many times the people, the employees feel that something is illogical, and that is a good sign of a bad workflow when things don't seem logical. And finally, uh, every practice has certain workarounds for crucial situations or different situations. But when the workarounds become the norm, that is the sign of not a very good workflow. Okay, so what's a good workflow then? The design of good practice workflow is not simply about improving efficiency. Workflow processes are maps that are that direct the team, the front office, clinicians, back office, on how to accomplish a goal. So workflows accomplish goals. A good workflow will help accomplish those goals, but more importantly, in a timely manner, leading to care that is delivered more consistently, reliably, safely, and in compliance with the standards of the practice. An excellent process can accommodate variations that inevitably arise in healthcare through interaction with other workflow processes and so on. So now let's talk about the hurdles and impedance and so on. So um, when you, instead of using EMR software implementation as an opportunity to redesign workflow or practice workflow, uh, sometimes practice owners just throw technology into the mix of an existing workflow, which is more likely to cause processes to become even more inefficient than before. So using technology accelerates or makes the inefficient processes even worse. The second important thing that I have observed is that most of the providers think of technology as a necessary evil that you got to do. I mean, CMS is mandating, so we don't have a choice. So this kind of thinking prevents proactive initiatives to redesign the workflow. When you're looking out for an EMR, don't look at EMR as a commodity which results as an outcome of that I got to have it. If you have that mentality and if you look at EMR simply as a commodity and you try to get or acquire technology just by looking at price and look and feel, well, that's not a good thing. And finally, uh, do involve do involve your entire staff in the decision making process. Why? Because they're going to ensure the efficiency of the practice and the workflow. Yes, clinical charting is important, and a very important part of the success of a practice. But if the other elements of the workflow fail, then it's all not going to work out smoothly. So um, be prepared to redesign your workflow. Okay. And in conclusion, uh, in addition to looking for an EHR system that has the necessary features at a reasonable price, uh, you should not compromise on practice workflow redesign. Again, I sounded like a broken record, but uh, most systems today have most of the features that a practice needs. And the competition in the industry and CMS guidelines have created a level playing field. Um, Features are similar, but what's important is how do they interact with each other, not just islands of automation. And honestly, differences in pricing is not that great. It's not like you have one system at $100 and another at $10,000. So there are minimal price differences. Uh, in the next video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about a topic that is pretty relevant to what we just spoke, which is that how do you modify your EHR system to fit your current workflow, be it efficient or inefficient, or adjust the workflow according to the EHR system? What should you do, or neither? We'll tackle that question in the next episode. Thank you.